Now, I would now cordially invite Professor Mithilesh Kumar Sinha, who will be sharing his expert views on agriculture sector. Professor Mithilesh Kumar have done PG Diploma in Econometrics from Annamalai University, Tamil Nadu in 1993 and PhD from Magad University, Bodh Gaya in 1998 under the topic Integral Rural Development Program and Poverty Alleviation in a Central Bihar District, Nevada. Sir has 3 years of experience as a reader in Department of Economics, Nagaland University, 3 years of experience as Associate Professor in Department of Economics and 6 years of teaching experience as Professor in Department of Economics, Nagaland University. Talking about his administrative experience, Sir has 3 years of experience as Planning Officer in the Planning Cell, Nagaland University, 3 years of experience as Finance Officer in Nagaland University and has held several positions and as a position of Registrar in Nagaland University. About the publications, Sir have more than 50 research papers, books and articles in his credentials published in various international and national journals of very high repute. Sir have been a member to various reputed associations such as Indian Economic Association, Indian Econometric Society and Economic Association of Bihar. Sir is the member of editorial board in Economic Challenger, Ajmer, Journal of Global Development, Patna. Sir have so far produced 2 MPhils and 6 PhD under his able guidance, and 2 more research scholars have submitted their work for the award of PhD under your supervision. Sir, you are requested to please share your expert views on agriculture sector.
Chancellor Ashok Kumar Chitkara, Pro Chancellor Dr. Madhu Chitkara, Pro Vice Chancellor Professor Sandhi Sharma, Co-panel panelist Professor Sunil Kumar, Director RBI, Professor Dinesh Kumar, Head Chaudhary Charan Singh University, Dean School of Economics, Chitkara Business School, Dr. Dinesh Kulshrestha. I feel honored here to be part of the National Colloquium organized by Chitkara School of Business. I express my gratitude to the Chitkara, a School of Economics that has invited me and given opportunity to share my views on the expectations from the Union Budget 2023-24 for agriculture sector. We are celebrating Amrit Kal, and we have completed 75 years of independence. But unfortunately, so far we have not touched the agricultural growth of even 4%. So this sector, agricultural sector, is most vulnerable in the period of globalization. Here, first, we can say that Indian economy is an agrarian economy. Despite that, India holds only 38th rank in the world, I mean agriculture orientation index. And the AOI is a stark reminder for us, for politicians, for planning makers, for decision makers, to review the agriculture sector. And it is the need of attaining the higher growth rate of agriculture. People can ask why agriculture sector is so important for India. 60% rural Indian household make their living from agriculture. This sector implies half of the population, and we are greatly dependent on the farmers to provide us with means of sustenance. That is why the sector has always attracted attention ahead of every union budget. Now, we have already witnessed budget 2022 and 2023. Budget 2023 is no longer about the new normal. It is the next normal. Now, I would like to focus in brief challenges that the agriculture sector is facing. First, the problem of enhancing job creation in the country. Second, the problem of tackling climate change for sustainable agriculture. Next, problem of lacking of innovations, farm techniques. Next, problems of availability of subsidized credit for early startups and SMEs in the agrarian sector. Next, problem of human resources, resource development over infrastructure. Then challenge towards doubling farmers' income. And last, although there are so many challenges, but here I am putting 7 challenges. Problem of addressing regional imbalances in agricultural credit in India. Now I will focus expectation. There is expectation first. There is expectation to increase the expenditure on agriculture. India's total agriculture expenses as fraction of total expenses fell to 9.5% in 2019-20 from 11% in 2010 and 11. There was also a decrease in the share of agriculture in India's total gross value added from 18.2% to 17.8%. Agricultural expenditure on agriculture as fraction of total expenditure was 11.0%. That fell to 9.5% in 2019, and in 2022-23, 7.3%. Lower than Mali, Bhutan, Nepal, other countries also. Gross value added of agriculture as a percentage of total GVA was 18.2%. It was in 2010. That fell to 17.8%. So by increase in public expenditure, government can attain the sustainable development goals of higher agricultural growth and farm income. The decline in agricultural expenditure leads to pauperization of a small and marginal farmers.
Sir,
you can change. I am not knowing how to change. Second challenge, to optimize agribusiness. Why? To provide accurate information on market, supply chain, logistics to all stakeholders. Agricultural Mission 2021-25 can be expanded to include features like Agri-Stack. Government should come up with a one-stop shop for streamlining approval and clearance processes. This will enhance ease of doing business in agriculture and its allied fields such as food processing, floriculture, horticulture, livestock production, dairy, etc. And such a feature will make it easier for existing players to avail several scheme benefits, as well as to help new investors enter the space. Third one, to improve supply chain. Why we should, our plan should improve the supply chain. Why this expectation? Improving the supply chain should be prioritized, and then policies that incentivize the creation of large storage facilities, cold storage, processing and distribution units will help add value to agricultural products, in addition to reducing losses and boosting the stakeholders' revenue. Fourth expectation, to provide higher allocation to horticulture, fisheries, animal husbandry and meat subsectors. Why? In 2022-23, the rice and wheat crops suffered damage due to climate conditions. As a result, the gross value added of crops would be lower this year, and the share of crop sector in agriculture GVA was 55.3% in 2020-21, while the non-crop sector contributed 44.7%. And the budget needs to take this into account and provide higher allocation to horticulture, fisheries, poultry, animal husbandry and meat subsectors. And this is corroborated by the situation assessment survey of agricultural households land and livestock holdings for rural India 2019, which found that on an average a farm household earned rupees 10,228 per month, out of which rupees 3,798 came from crop production and rupees 1,528 from animal husbandry. Then fifth expectation, in my opinion, expectation to evaluate the progress of Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, as unlike the wheat, paddy and sugarcane. Why? The fisheries sector does not attract the desired media space, even though it provides livelihood to 28 million people, mostly from vulnerable communities. For fisheries, meat and poultry infrastructure facilities are very poor in most mandis where their trading takes place. So infrastructural facilities needs to make a strong. Then sixth expectation that the budget should include resumption of grant for modernization of abattoirs in both rural and urban areas of the country. Why? Meat is highly neglected sector, and in the last 8 years, in 2016, the Union government stopped any grant for modernization and setting up of abattoirs. For rural areas, also, the Union government has stopped the scheme run by the Department of Animal Husbandry under National Livestock Mission, has stopped the grant for abattoirs. What implications is there? As a result, the slaughtering would be going on in unhygienic conditions. So there is urgent need to provide funds to municipalities for maintenance of abattoirs under National Livestock Mission, so that the meat is hygienic and byproducts of meat receive a fair value. Seventh expectation, there is expectation that government should pay attention in the Union Budget 2023-24 to tax relaxation for various players across the value chain. Why? The value chain has created a scalable solutions impacting farmers' lives for good. For instance, the onset of farming as a service and farm to fork has opened better opportunities for farmer community to improve their farming practices and thereby the generated output. Then startups that are facilitating such a sea change need government support in farms in terms of tax shops so that they can smoothen their business operations. Eighth expectation of subsidized credit for early startups and SMEs in the agrarian sector. Why? They have, startups and SMEs have solutions in place but do not possess the economic wherewithal or marketing budgets to reach farmers at a scale. Low interest rate loans will certainly help businesses scale up their operations and reach the right target audience within the entire farmer community with their products or services. And innovative farm techniques like drip irrigation, which can make a big difference nationwide, must be adopted and promoted. Ideas like vertical farming and irrigation techniques can go a long way in addressing the issues of farmland and water scarcity. The budget must focus on such innovations. 10th expectation, the budget must grant a significant push to agri-research and development. These will not only improve soil fertility and crop production but also benefit farmers' income. Then the budget would also likely focus on sustainable agriculture to tackle the challenges of climate change and lower carbon emissions. Crop insurance is the major key for promoting agriculture growth and benefit the farmer. It is hoped that the Union Budget for 2023-24 will announce a scheme for grant to APMCs for improving the much needed infrastructure. One of the objectives behind the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce, Promotion and Facilitation Act 2020 was to facilitate and encourage trade in agricultural produce outside the APMCs. The law has repealed, but no state government has modified its APMC Act to provide for trade outside APMC only based on a PAN card held by the trader, purchaser of farmers' produce. Most APMCs need to invest in upgrading their infrastructure. In Punjab, in Haryana, dryers, sorting machines and testing equipment is not available in most APMCs, though these two states are agriculturally developed. Very few APMCs have cold chain facilities, because of which horticulture, produce, poultry and meats suffers losses during trading and transportations. So these are the expectations from the upcoming budget. Those expectations are more, but actually in one line I can focus the basic infrastructure. So far the government has not provided to the farmer. For agricultural growth, what farmers need? Proper irrigation, energy, then infrastructure. Only three, even these three, not so many expectations, even these three expectations can be taken care of by the government. I think this sector will grow over years. Thank you for giving me time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for drawing attention on SMEs, fisheries, and drawing knowledge about different programs for agricultural farmer run by the government, such as specifically horticulture, fisheries, etc., and expectations from Union Budget 2023. Sir, now there are two questions from the participants which I am going to put forward. That is, first is, sir, it is being anticipated that the overall subsidy requirements for the fertilizer sector will rise to approximately rupees 2.5 lakh crore in the financial year 2023 budget. How do you look at this? And so second is, agri-tech industry has become an attractive avenue for both investors and governments, but it still lacks financial aid in order to support the growing agri-tech business. Do we hope for some space for these startups as well, who have the ability to transform this whole sector?
Yes, first question regarding subsidy. The World Trade Organization is against the subsidy. That is why there is tug war between India and WTO. So, but India has not succumbed to WTO. India's opinion to increase the subsidies to the farm sector. Why? Because 80% of the farmers of India is a small farmers, and without subsidy they cannot survive, because fertilizers, diesels prices are going up, and that is why, keeping this view in mind, the government has the intention to increase subsidies to the farmer, and that will revolutionize the agriculture sector. Second, agri-tech. Now there is less importance of traditional farming. Technology has penetrated to agricultural sector. So without agri-technology, the agricultural sector of India cannot grow, and we cannot achieve the desired growth of agriculture sector. So in 2022-23 budget, the government has allocated huge amount to agri-tech field. So if this will continue even in 2023-24 budget, then agri-tech will also achieve the growth, and as a result the agriculture sector will grow. And if agriculture sector gets growth, certainly the GDP of our country will get growth. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Mithilesh sir, for your sharing your views. Chitkara University is honored to host the privileged expert and present my gratitude. As a student of economics, it was great listening and understanding the different paradigms of the sectors. I would now cordially invite Dean Supply Chain Management, Professor Neeraj Anand sir, for vote of thanks.
Very good afternoon, distinguished guests of the day. Dr. Sunil Kumar, Director, Monetary Policy Department, RBI Mumbai. Professor Dinesh Kumar, Professor of Economics, Chaudhary Charan Singh University, Meerut. He is also Director of Manevar Kashiram Shodhpeeth. And Professor Mithilesh Sinha, who is well-known professor in Nagaland, Northeast. He is from Central University, Nagaland. My faculty colleagues and the audience, which comprises of faculty members, students, research scholars, and other eminent experts. It is my proud privilege to be here among all of you to extend my vote of thanks. I would like to start with a quote by Mary Landrieu. She was a senator with US in Louisiana State. She said, the budget should reflect the values and priorities of our nation and its people. I think this is what exactly was deliberated by all distinguished speakers of the day. They were talking about what are the priority sectors, and all three speakers addressed various sectors. This particular colloquium, which is being organized for 2 days, we are concluding the first day, and I'll just briefly discuss the deliberations which have taken place today. So I'll start with Dr. Dhresh, who just briefly set the context for the colloquium after the welcome address by Sandhir sir, Pro Vice Chancellor, Chitkara Business School. Dr. Dhiresh, who touched upon various points, and he highlighted the importance of G20 summit, particularly the New Delhi summit, which is going to be held in September 23, which is going to be addressed by various world leaders, and India has taken the chair from December 22. So various issues which are likely to be discussed is green and affordable energy, education, health, tourism, environment, sustainability, and cross-border terrorism. He also discussed European energy crisis, which has taken place as a result of Ukraine-Russia war. So after this, I'll come to the first speaker of the day, Dr. Kumar, who spoke on evolving macroeconomic situations and monetary policy. So he discussed broader view across the sectors. He briefly discussed that how the benefits of monetary policy are going to reach SMEs and other beneficiaries. He covered global development, domestic development in terms of growth, inflation, fiscal policy, and external benchmarks. As per him, Indian economy contracted by over 20% in 2021, that is during COVID. The entire world has faced the impact of COVID, which started in March 2020, and India was adversely impacted in 21. Growth rebounded in 22 by 8.7% and crossed the pre-pandemic level. Growth story is domestic demand driven. He also touched upon private consumption and its importance, and share of private consumption is 60% of the GDP. Current year growth rate has been moderated to 7%, which is considerably high. Corporate investment cycle he discussed along with the capex cycle. Then he also shared few facts like essential vehicle sales, which has been very high, particularly during festive seasons. Rural consumption, tractor sales has also rebounded in the agriculture sector. Rural consumption, though slightly dipped in the past. Unemployment was the other issue discussed by Dr. Sunil. 20% under pandemic was the unemployment rate, which is improving gradually. As per CMI data, employment rate has improved significantly now. Construction activity is one which has been consistently good in terms of Indian economy and has shown positive sign, though there have been some dips and fluctuation during during rainy season. Then agriculture sector has more or less maintained the contribution to ZVA and relocation of supply chains. I think being a supply chain professional, I could hear this word from all the speakers here, because I think no sector can survive without efficient and effective supply chains. So he also discussed the relocation of supply chains from China to India and Vietnam and other countries, and quoted the example of Apple and other companies, and also shared about shortage of chips and semiconductors and balancing supply and demand. He highlighted the shift of informal to formal sector and discussed various statistics and relationships between these and monetary policy. And he also urged, I think this is important for the students and scholars, that more studies need to be carried out in the informal sector. Monetary policy targeted growth and inflation. And inflation in the fuel was very high, as high as 11%, whereas the monetary policy targets core inflation, which is around 6%. So monetary policy should target the core inflation, and government should thrust upon capital expenditure. He also discussed about exports in pharma sector, which contributed very well during COVID, but was badly hit in October last year, and again gradually improving. Then few other points he discussed was balance of payments for macroeconomic stability. Then FDI, India has been doing consistently well, and India has created more than 9 months import cover. Then he also touched upon exchange rate depreciation. The entire world has faced, except in terms of US dollar. So India has still performed well in terms of exchange depreciation also. So India has maintained the position of favorable investors despite of severely hit COVID economy. Monetary policy, other things which he had discussed, conventional, unconventional measures, large amount of liquidity has been injected by RBI, CRR was reduced by 1%, and various measures have been taken by RBI in terms of monetary policy, maintaining liquidity through long-term repo operations from 14 days and so on. And he also said targeted NBFCs and tourism sector and asset purchase program. And we are not isolated from Ukraine-Russia war. The oil prices touched $125 per barrel and so on. Now things are under control. Then he also briefly discussed the role of Monetary Policy Committee members. So this was just the brief by Dr. Sunil Kumar's session. Subsequently, we had Professor Dinesh Kumar from Chaudhry Charan Singh University, Meerut. So he spoke on industrial sector and budget expectations. He touched upon 4 pillars of the previous budget: PM Gati Shakti, inclusive development, productivity enhancement and investment, sunrise opportunities, energy transition, and climate action. And last pillar is financing of investments. So I'll not go into more detail. I know you must be waiting for the lunch. 7 engines that drive PM Gati Shakti are roads, railway, airport, ports, mass transport, waterways, and logistics infrastructure. Then he briefly discussed the expectations of budget 23, that is tax incentive on capital expenditure or operational expenditure for expansion, capacity utilization, and use of new technology applications like AI, ML, and various other modern technologies. Then second one is reduction in the interest for late payment of GST from current rate of 18% to proposed 12%, which is proposed by ASSOCHAM. And he also emphasized upon simplified mechanism for enforcing new labor laws. So Indian government is in the process of revamping the entire labor laws, and even the working conditions have significantly improved in the industry, particularly in terms of gender also, security and safety. Then he also discussed some expectations that budget should focus on health, defense, education, and social welfare sectors. And he specifically mentioned textile industry, where traceability and sustainability are critical success factors, particularly to boost the export of textiles and apparels to the Western markets. Then he presented some facts about the railway sector. I think he estimated that the range for this budget for railways may go from 1.6 lakh crore to 2 lakh crore this in the coming budget. So I think we cannot ignore the contribution of railways, which has been one of the prominent sector in terms of transport. Last but not the least, we had the speaker, Professor Mithilesh Sinha, Professor of Economics from Central University, Nagaland. Agriculture and budget expectation. He spoke on agriculture. We all know that we are rural economy, and agriculture plays significant role, though the contribution of GDP has come down to around 18.8% in 22. Last year I think it was around 20%. Yes. So it is ranging somewhere from 18 to 20%, which is one of the areas of concern. And sir already pointed out that India stands 38th rank in AOI, Agriculture Orientation Index. So I think being the rural economy, it's a matter of concern that how all the stakeholders can contribute to improve this index. And I come from the supply chain sector, so I also know, we all know that I think logistic performance index, the other index, so there also India is below 40. So I think if we take both the sectors, which rightly Prime Minister has launched the PM Gati Shakti this event, as well as this national logistic policy has been launched a few months back. So I hope all those things will take economy further. Then Professor Sinha discussed the short-term credit witnessed to a significant jump from 44% in financial year 82 to 74.3 in financial year 2016. He also expressed his opinion about funding, particularly financing from the banking sector, that banks are reluctant to provide long-term credit for agriculture implements and tractors. Most of the financing is done by the NBFCs. He also discussed about the new scheme to APMC, more funds to be granted, and improvement of the infrastructure. There is expectation to evaluate the progress of Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana. I think he very rightly addressed the fishery sector, which is mostly neglected. Being 28 million population is basically relying on fishery sector. And what he said, right, I think the media is not paying attention to the sector. I think all the stakeholders need to work in tandem to improve the economy. Other sector, I think, which he addressed, other point is related to meat, particularly hygiene part, and the role of National Livestock Mission. So our municipalities should focus and grant funds for improving the infrastructure. Then budget must grant a significant push to agriculture research and development. I think this is again another takeaway for all the students and researchers, that this area of research, a lot of startups have already started in agriculture sector, but still I think long way to go to improve our AOI. These will not only improve the soil fertility and crop production, but also benefit the farmers' income. So what government has already decided to double the farmers' income. So without taking all these allied sectors together, fishery, poultry, animal husbandry, it will be difficult to double the farmers' income. Then crop insurance is the other priority area which Sir touched upon, that this budget should address and promote the agriculture growth and benefit the farmer. And recently, I think 2-3 years back, this new ministry has been formed, that is cooperative ministry. So you also touched upon cooperative and farm-owned sector. So this was all brief about these 3 sessions which I've held by these 3 speakers. Then I will extend my thanks to the chief patrons of the colloquium, Professor Ashok K. Chitkara ji and Dr. Madhu Chitkara, Pro-Chancellor, and patrons Mr. Mohit Chitkara, Vice President, Dr. Archana Mantri, Vice Chancellor, Program Coordinators, Dr. Sandeep Sharma, Pro-Vice Chancellor, Dr. Dhresh Kulshrestha, Dean Economics, then other Joint Secretaries and Organizing Secretary, Dr. Abhishek Anand and Dr. Dr. Narendra Kumar. I think they have been working overnight to make this show successful. Then I would not forget the association and collaboration with School of Mass Communication, Dr. Ashutosh Mishra, Dean, the kind of support and guidance provided for this colloquium to have this particular show online with all of you. Then I would also extend my sincere thanks to IT team, Dr. Pawan, Dr. Gulshan Mata and others, hospitality team, administrative department, and last but not the least, the students, scholars and faculty members. Without you, this colloquium would not have seen light of the day. So at the end, I will quote one more quotation here. It's not your salary that makes you rich, it's your spending habits. So this is by Charles Jeffrey. So I think there has been debate in terms of whether we should tax the income or expenditure. So this question was coming to my mind, but I was restraining myself. Maybe other panelists tomorrow may discuss this point also. So I will not take more time. Thank you very much, the entire organizing team and all the speakers once again. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.